Interesting, that character growth. Who would have thunk it?
No. No. That classic. We finished Loki, guys. Do you see any smiles?
I'm smiling right now.
Take it off your face.
Be honest and be fair, it was actually a good episode. I don't think it tied up the series well enough, but this episode, on its own, was a good episode.
Tom Hiddleston was the saving grace of this episode.
No, and also He Who Remains. He Who Remains
was also very good.
Right?
I think it's just, I just don't like Sylvie as a character, and she proved me right in this episode. She's a bitch. Am I not allowed to say that?
I don't know.
Can
I don't
you
know.
bleep that? Can
You're
you
a
that?
woman hater for saying that, I think.
I'm a woman!
Hey, I don't make the rules. I just tell you how the game's played.
Well, you know what? If you don't like the game, change the game.
That's what happened in here.
That's what they did.
That's not what Loki wanted, but it's what female Loki wanted, Sylvie.
It's because Loki thinks.
Hey, NarendraTheComic
In
No, we
here.
got nonsense, but today we finally, very late, but we finally have the last episode, episode 6, the finale of Loki. It's our review of it, and I'll tell you, I feel like this was a very good episode, but it didn't save the series for me, and I think for this character, a character that's so loved in the universe, one of the most beloved characters of cinema over the last 10 years, I feel they didn't do him justice in the story, in the design, in everything. And it was a disservice to the show and a disservice to the character.
Yes, on all fronts. I think Loki, the original Loki, is clearly the superior Loki.
But he's not in this show. He's like the worst of the worst, apparently.
Okay,
Bottom rung.
In this episode, it really grated on my nerves. Sylvie was like, oh, you've been through so much. You're a flea on a dragon's back. This guy's the guy you want. Why are you making him seem like he shouldn't be here? You've chosen him. He Who Remains. I need you both.
I think that line was just there to big up Sylvie and to destroy him as a character again. And I think that was a problem with the show. It's the fact that they made Loki play second fiddle to a bunch of characters in this show, specifically Sylvie. And I think, really and honestly, she was an okay character, but she had no character growth. There was no positive feelings towards her. It was just like, she exists. I would prefer it if she didn't, because that way we would get a Loki show from the Loki we know and the Loki everyone knows. Instead, we got this half-botch job Loki and an additional Loki.
Also, I find it really insidious that in order to show that Sylvie has something good about her, you have to belittle the other Loki. Like, if that's your main writing point, to be like, oh, she's really good, and you have to have some dialogue or something else to show that, and not show that she's good herself, it's just really shitty. It's a disservice to what you could have done with Sylvie. I don't have any problems with the actress.
No,
she did a good job with what was given to her. The character itself wasn't great, and you could have done better with it.
And I feel that's just the vibe of the whole show. Like, when you got to this episode, there was so much exposition that was needed to be given, because this show essentially sets up Phase 4. Yeah. This show sets up the multiverse, and I'm not sure how that's going to slide when it comes to regular people, the normies, watching the movies. I don't know how that's going to work. I just feel like there were so many other options for this show, but then again, you can't please everyone. That's just how it works. Let's get into the latter part of the show, at least, in this episode, and that was He Who Remains. Not a bad guy, but not really a good guy. He's kind of like neutral space.
Yeah, he said, you know, we're all villains here. Would you rather have a nice dictator who wants peace or a warmongering dictator? And Loki believed him. This He Who Remains seemed like the kooky scientist who got stuck with this job of, you now have to deal with all of time. And I can see why he was like, look guys, I'm tired.
I'm done with it.
It's been a really long run.
Yeah. Kang the Conqueror definitely involved here. He's the big bad of Phase 4, main villain number 1, and I'm not sure where they're going to go with this, because really and truly, every MCU film that doesn't touch on the multiverse now is just a waste of time.
Yeah.
Essentially. Inconsequential, the stories don't matter, nothing that happens in them is going to have any type of ramifications for the overall MCU, other than the ones directly dealing with the multiverse, being Doctor Strange, Spider-Man No Way Home, and Loki Season 2 apparently, because this is getting a Season 2. But other than that, these shows and films don't make any difference to the overall world, and I think that is a terrible thing. Plus, again, it hits back once more on the fact that the stones mean nothing. Because how does this shit work? We don't know. It's very soft universe building now.
Yeah.
It seemed very hard universe building before,
Yeah.
the magic systems. Now it's all over the place. We don't know what to do.
Marvel was like, WandaVision, care about WandaVision. Bucky Falcon, care about Bucky and Falcon. And now everything from this point onwards, how are you going to ground the world with things like Bucky and Falcon
Hawkeye,
and
Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel.
And then into the films, maybe Ant-Man and things like that. How are you going to ground those and have the viewers be like, oh, I'm going to give you my time, when they know overall nothing's going to be happening.
Nothing consequential is going to be happening.
Yeah, consequential.
And I think that's the big problem. But I do think that one of the moments in this show was from another show. You know when he said we've crossed the threshold?
Yeah.
I think there was some funny tonal shifts in the lighting that was going on. It was very blue, and then it changed to reddy purple. I think then and there, that was the situation that was happening because the timekeepers were all over the place because of what had happened. They weren't doing their job. And that was Wanda becoming the Scarlet Witch. Because
exactly
it was the colouring, it was the lighting. And I thought that might be it because no one was there to prune it.
Yeah.
And it was such a big event, a Nexus event that didn't get stopped in time, that it just became the situation that pushed it over the edge. And at that point, he actually didn't know the future because it had gone too far. And he said, if you take over now, you can reel this back in. But if you don't, this is it.
But then at the end of the show, when Loki runs to find Mobius, Mobius doesn't know who he is. This new Kang the Conqueror's already taken hold.
Yeah.
And they've like wiped the slate clean, and we don't know where in time that is because the TVA works on a different time span. What's actually happening in the universe from this point onwards? We have no clue.
But then I suppose that's the intrigue, right? To some degree, it's, wait, what is going on? At the beginning of this show, you had no idea. Then you had an idea, and now it's like, no, you don't know again. So there's a lot of questions, more questions than there were when the show started.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what they're going for. And I can't hate them for that. I don't love it because I feel like you're kind of duping your audience a little bit. But at the same time, it is universe building. They're trying to create a world that will last for another 5 to 10 years. And they're doing that in this show. So it's creative. They're trying different things. They're trying to create shows and films that cross mediums, and that's never been done before. So there's a lot of things that are positive. There's a lot of things that weren't that great. I would say for me, it is my second to third favorite MCU show. WandaVision is definitely number one, and that was like a 7.5 out of 10 overall. The last few episodes were 10 out of 10, but 7.5 overall. Falcon and Winter Soldier, 6. And I would say this is around about there with the 6. Maybe I'd say WandaVision's an 8, just to give it a little bit of a bump.
Yeah.
But I think this one could have been so much more.
Yeah, I think it could have been so much more while still maintaining this multiversal overarching story, and given the Lokis more time and light and character. Like, we understand Loki's character. We could already see the growth that was going to happen because that 2012 Loki should have had growth later on.
Yeah.
We didn't know about Sylvie, and it was just disappointing seeing her not change at all. Like, even Kang was like, grow up, Sylvie!
Essentially, it's like, Loki, you're trying to act like an adult here, and Sylvie's just a baby. I don't like you as a character because clearly he might not be good in He Who Remains, but he's better than the alternative. So, let's just stick and not twist in this case. I think that was probably the sane option, but maybe she is just insane. Maybe she is. And that's crazy because Loki then seems sane.
And Loki's not sane.
No, but, oh, we completely forgot about the kiss.
Oh, that was so... That gave me the heebie-jeebies.
Oh.
It was so weird, because I'm like, ew, that's
You saw it coming from, like, episode 2, didn't you? Or
Yeah,
3? 3?
I
You
felt
said,
it.
nah, it's coming. I said, I don't want it.
I think Marvel, they really thought they were pulling a trick on us here. They thought people are going to accept this. This is uber weird, guys.
It's weird shit, man.
And I understand by the end of the series, because you've longed it out, maybe you thought that people would forget that they are basically the same person with the same DNA, basically.
Wacky stuff.
Yeah.
Wacky stuff. There's also something else about the variants and the concept of how they work, because seemingly there are some variants who look the same and some variants who don't look the same, which is fine, but when you bleed that out into really thinking about it, it's just going to get more confusing, because either you go with them all looking the same, or you go with them all looking different. You shouldn't be having some looking the same and some looking different. You had Loki looking the same as President Loki, you had Kang looking the same as He Who Remains, and then you had all the other Lokis being different. So, I don't know how they're going to really sell the recasting of some of these characters, because if you're going to multiversal level, Iron Man's alive in another universe, baby. He's alive.
Scarlett Johansson, forgive me, Black Widow.
Yeah.
Black Widow's also
Oh,
alive.
no. She dead. She dead.
I understand
After this
now.
contract, she dead.
Now with the Disney
Yeah.
lawsuit, yeah, she said no to the mouse. I get it.
No.
But she could be alive.
Yeah.
You know, they might recast her.
Yeah.
Because now they can. It's going to be really difficult for viewers, specifically the casual viewers,
Yeah.
to understand what's going on.
Yeah.
Because if you're recasting individuals so that they can be the variants, then people aren't going to know who's on screen at what point, who they're meant to be, what their original character is meant to be like, how they're different as the variant.
But this is what they're doing in Spider-Man, like No Way Home. All the different Spider-Men are just variants of Spider-Man. You've got Tobey Maguire.
Yep.
You've got Andrew Garfield. You've got Tom Holland. You might have another one. I don't know. I do think that that's going to lead to just ultra levels of confusion. And the problem is, before Endgame, it was a very simple world to understand. It didn't take a lot to understand where the characters were, what was happening, the overall storylines. But after Endgame, it just got unbelievably more confusing for the standard person. Like, people were walking out of that film confused at what happened.
Yeah.
Whereas before, people caught up to understand what happened. They walked out confused.
Yeah.
And now you've just went, we're going to confuse them more.
It's a really big ask for viewers. Obviously, the fans are loving this. The fans have wanted multiverse. In Far From Home, in the film, people were like, yeah. Like, people
And I was one of those who was like, why did you tease it and then not do it?
yeah, people were so excited and then they got mad that they didn't.
Yeah.
And I think that was like a litmus test to see how people would receive it for this new phase.
I don't think so.
But-
because that was already greenlit, all these things were already done. They weren't going to change what was going to happen because people didn't like that.
I get it. But I feel like this is a big ask because most people aren't going to be able to keep up with all these things. And if it becomes too much, they won't even try to catch up for the big event film that comes at the end of the phase.
The thing is, I understand what you're saying there. I would agree with you, but I think Marvel is going to purposefully make all the other films not connected to this multiverse madness stuff. They're not going to even indulge in it. They're going to say they're completely separate stories, and then it's going to just converge on that multiverse idea. So all the shows are going to have no reference to what's happening. But from the audience's point of view, if you've been watching these shows, those shows just don't matter watching. The viewership doesn't even matter because they have no consequence in the world. But when it comes to the end point, they will be involved.
Right, so in the new phase, are all the villains going to be related to Kang, versions of Kang, Kang's minions? And then, towards the end, it'll be like everyone will understand that, oh, it's been Kang all along, but the casual viewer will be like, oh, this is the bad guy. But the regular Marvel viewers will be like, we knew it was Kang all along, we knew!
Yeah.
You know?
He's definitely in Ant-Man and the Wasp 2.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Ant-Man 3 probably is what it's called.
3.
I don't know. No, Quantumania, that's what it's called.
Oh, yeah.
Quantum Realm and that type of stuff. So they're doing it with that. And even the Quantum Realm itself, it's like, wait, it's multiversal, right? It's not the timelines you're going on. You're not going back in time necessarily.
No.
You're going to a different timeline, but you're going to a different universe if you branch the reality, right? That was the whole thing with the Ancient One and the Hulk saying, if you don't bring it back to the exact point, the stones, then branches of reality form. So it's very confusing. And one of the main things people had was at the end of Endgame, how Captain America was at the end of Endgame as old man Captain America with the shield, and how he got there after he'd just delivered all the goods back to where they were supposed to be and then grew old with Peggy. And then the second thing, and this is bigger in my opinion, how on earth is Gamora still alive?
Yeah, this one.
She should have got done.
Yeah.
She should have been whisked away at the end of that film.
Should have been pruned.
And that should have been it. That should have been it. And it would have stopped all this confusion if she'd got. But they didn't want to get her got. But by them doing that, they kind of just confused why Tony Stark can't come back, why Black Widow can't come back, because Gamora can just come back.
Unless He Who Remains needed Gamora, a version of Gamora, to still be alive for the future of reality.
That has to be it, but I don't like it. It's not the fact that she didn't get pruned and didn't get taken away. It's the fact that the stone magic just didn't come into effect. The stones, they eradicate you from existence when you get killed with the Soul Stone. So what the hell is going on? When everything comes back to normal, she should be dead.
Yeah,
This is a lot of geeking out, to be fair. Like, we're going a little deep here, and the reason is we do care about the world.
Yeah,
We've spent a lot of time in it. And I think that there were so many incredible things they could have done with this show, and I think they bottlenecked it. They made it very, very short, and they didn't give enough time to really create the world that is going to be the launch pad for Phase 4. They could have made it 8 episodes. They could have made it 10 episodes.
Yeah.
And really made sure that people were understanding what was going on and liking the characters, most importantly. Because I thought He Who Remains was solid.
Yeah.
I liked him a lot.
He was eccentric.
Yeah.
And kind of wacky, but in a really good way, because you understood from that small amount of time he was in the show, half an episode, you understood where he'd come from, what his practicality and understanding was of what he needed to do and the task that was at hand, and what he did with it. You understood his morals, you understood where he came from, you understood what he was doing, where he was going, everything.
And then you just have Sylvie stab him.
And then crying on the floor. No, you do not get to cry on the floor.
Nah. You've just messed up the entire universe. You don't get to do that.
That did not fit with her character. Falling onto the floor and crying.
But then maybe it was her achieving her goal and she was like, I've done it. I'm finished
empty,
now.
Though, so that's why I'm crying. Because it's an empty goal and it took that to realise. No. No.
Loki Season 2, I hope that it's better than Season 1. I can practically confirm it'll be more confusing than Season 1. But we got Spider-Man No Way Home coming. We got Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness coming to clear some things up. And maybe, just maybe, Loki might appear in Doctor Strange 2. Anyway, guys, if you did enjoy this video, please do like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel down there. If you didn't, who's going to come after you? Who's going to do it? Loki. You know who it was going to be. It was always going to be him. You don't want that. Do they want that? You really don't. So just subscribe anyway to avoid that. I've been NarendraTheComic.
I've been India.
She's been on Sensei. You've been great. And we'll see you next time. That's tomorrow. If you don't know, make a video every single day. Been doing it every day for over 1,000 days now. We ain't stopping till we get to 10,000 subscribers. So do subscribe. Pop back again tomorrow for some more quality shitty content. So hashtag never not here. Just how it goes. Also bring the Pakwas means nonsense in Punjabi. And we also bring that. Bring a lot. Bring a little, do a lot, do a little, but we do indeed bring the quality shitty content on a daily basis. So see you tomorrow. More of the same, slightly different, but essentially the very same. Once more. See you then. Skadoosh.